Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Headbanger's Closet. So for this video, I'm going to do my top 10-ish albums I've listened to the most. And I was watching Twanger's Turntable, my good buddy Mark. I was watching his channel last week and he did his video. He and I have a lot of the same taste in metal. A lot of the albums and bands he showed are albums and bands I'm going to show. And I was really inspired to do my own video for this. And, I reached out to him. I said, look, man, what was your criteria? And he says, there really isn't any. Just go ahead and make up your own. So I came up with 2 criteria. And the first criteria is I'm going to try to show one album for the most part per band. If I didn't do that, we'd have like 4 or 5 Metallica records, a couple of Megadeath, a couple of Maiden, and then that'd be it, right? So I want to try to do a good snapshot of all the bands I love. And I think I've done a pretty good job at selecting these. And they're, for the, it's true. These are the albums I listen to the most. Huge majority of them are albums that have been around a really long time. I've been a metal fan since the early 80s, so obviously something I picked up like in 86 and I'm still listening to regularly all the way to this day is obviously going to be in my top 10 most listened to records. So kind of that's where I'm going at with the second criteria. These are albums I've had for a long time, been listening to for a long time, really. So I didn't really think it was fair to some of the newer bands I absolutely love. So I think there might be a good segue into a part 2 of this. What are my top 10 most listened to albums of the past 10, maybe 15 years? I could do another video for that some other time down the line. But for this video, my top 10 most listened to records, and they're all heavy metal pretty much, obviously. You should know that if you're watching this channel. But anyway, hope you guys dig it. We'll get right into it. First one is going to be Judas Priest, British Steel. As I said, I grew up in the 80s and found heavy metal in the early 80s, so MTV was a huge part of that. I've said that many, many times on this channel. And British Steel's album is no different. Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight were some of the videos that were on regular rotation and on MTV throughout the 80s. But you got Rapid Fire, you got Grinder, you got United, you got Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise, which is my favorite song on the record. Just an amazing, amazing record. Not my favorite. Screaming for Vengeance is my favorite Judas Priest album, but I gotta go with this one, the most listened to, just basically because I've been listening to it the most out of all the Judas Priest records. So Judas Priest, British Steel, number 1, and these are in no particular order up until like the last maybe 3 or 4 that I show you. The rest of them are just no order at all. So the next one is Death Symbolic. And, right off the bat, some people might think, well, why couldn't you do this in your next video? Well, this is still pretty friggin' old. It came out in 95. And these guys were not my introduction to death metal, but they were my favorite death metal band, and they still are. They're my favorite death metal band of all time. This thing came out the year after I graduated high school. I was in community college, driving back and forth for a couple years before I went to 4-year school. And Death was on regular rotation in the CD player. This album in particular, Crystal Mountain being my favorite song on the record. Just an amazing album front to back. It is their best album, in my opinion. Not even a debate for that. So 1995's Symbolic by Death. Amazing album. Absolutely love it. Next one is going to be Pyromania by Def Leppard. Def Leppard is an awesome band, but I feel like you could take their first 4 or 5 albums, call it a career, and they would be just a phenomenal discography. After that, they got a little bit too commercial and poppy, in my opinion. But their first, handful of records were straight up new wave of British heavy metal, and this thing's no different. It freaking slaps front to back. Rock Till You Drop's awesome. Like I said, I'm an MTV guy, so Photograph was always played like every hour on the hour back in those early years of MTV, and I just thought it was just an amazing song, an amazing video. I still do. This is my favorite Def Leppard album. Kind of goes back and forth between this one and High and Dry, but Pyromania definitely gets the nod for this video. I think these guys are an amazing band, and just I try to celebrate just their first handful of records. So the next album, this list would not be complete without this band because they're easily in my top 3 or 4 favorite bands of all time. It is Megadeth. So Far, So Good, So What being my favorite Megadeth record, but Peace Salesman Who's Buying is also freaking phenomenal. And look, it's my list. I can kind of fudge the amount, right? So I really can't kind of come to a conclusion of which album of these 2 I've listened to the most. We could throw Rust in Peace and Countdown to Extinction in here as well. Countdown came out when I was in high school. I listened to the shit out of that album. But I think, if we're going to go just the whole lifetime of myself being a heavy metal fan, I got to go with these two records, and it's a tie. I can't single one out without the other one because, in my opinion, they're just neck and neck. They're both too good to pick a favorite or, pick a winner. So we're going to go with both of them. So far, so good. So what? Peace, hell's booze, bye. The next one is 1984's Twisted Sister Stay Hungry album. Mentioned many, many times. I'm an MTV guy, so obviously we're not going to take it. The Price and I Want to Rock were the three. Just huge videos on MTV. Massively, massively iconic. And I love them all. I remember when this album came out, the record store in my area just had these massive, just bigger than normal posters plastered all over the walls of the record store with the album cover. And I just remember looking at it for just in awe. This is freaking disgusting. The dude's eating a raw bone with veins and muscle and tendons on it. Thought it was nasty, but I picked up the cassette tape and then actually this album not too long afterwards and just fell in love with it. I still love it to this day. It's my favorite Twisted Sister record. I've never been able to see the band live. Kind of sucks that I don't think I ever will. But these guys are awesome and they get tons of shit. But look, I grew up in the 80s. I love hair metal. I fully embrace my glam metal. I'm not even going to call it a phase. I still love the shit to this day. So Twisted Sister is one of the first ones I fell in love with. So got to put this up there on my most listened to albums. And staying with the 80s glam metal, we're going to go with 1986, Poison, Look What the Cat Dragged In. Easily my second favorite, hair band, glam band, 80s metal band of all time. Freaking love this record. It's my favorite album that they've done. I think the whole thing is flawless. Again, can't say it enough. MTV played a huge part in, me being a metal fan. It played a huge part in this list. You had I Want Action, Cry Tough, Talk Dirty to Me, and I think there was maybe one more video for this album on MTV. But awesome record. The true story, the funny story I mentioned before. When I first saw them on MTV, I liked them, and I ended up getting the cassette tape. And then the album afterwards, and I just thought they were girls. I really did. I honestly thought they were chicks, and I had no problem thinking they were hot. Whatever. 86, I was 11. Freaking soon, right? Cut me some slack, right? Next one is a band that I kind of got into in high school, kind of like Death in that era, early 90s, and that was Sepultura. And this is Beneath the Remains. Awesome thrash metal. So many bands in thrash. A lot of them in that 80s, early 90s, era. They were trying to pick, European style, Bay Area style, or other. I kind of throw these guys in other because I feel I can hear the influences in both European and German, I guess I would say, and Bay Area. And they kind of came up with their own special brand of thrash metal. And this is my favorite album by Sepultura. And this is one of those albums that in high school, along with a handful of other records I was listening to, like the Black Album, and then Metallica's Justice for All, Countdown to Extinction, Faith No More is the Real Thing. This is one of those bands that kind of shaped my, high school and early college years, just listening to the hell out of this thing. So I absolutely love this record. Had to include it on the list. The next one's going to be kind of another tie. If you've been watching my channel, you probably heard my Van Halen 1984 story. My shrink wrap with the hype stickers kind of ripped, so I'm trying to preserve it. But this one, the last one with David Lee Roth, and then 5150 came out in 86. The first one with Sammy Hagar. I'm going to have to, just like Megadeth, I'm going to have to call this a tie. This was the first one. This is where I discovered the band. I absolutely love it. It's not a skippable track on the album. I think it's absolutely flawless. But on the flip side, I feel the exact same way about this one. I'm a Van Halen fan. I don't care whether it's David Lee Roth fan or Sammy Hagar. I love all of it. And there's been times in my life where I thought this is the best Van Halen album. Excuse me, I don't really think that much now. I actually prefer Van Halen 2 or their debut. But I think this is an absolute phenomenal record. And remember, the list is the most listened to albums. And these two Van Halen albums are the two I listen to the most. So, again, my list, I might go over 10. You never know. So, the next artist is Ozzy. And, again, 3 records. We got Diary of a Madman. We have got the debut, Blizzard of Oz. And then we have got Bark at the Moon. And I go back and forth between Diary and Bark at the Moon as my favorite Ozzy records. Of course, can't forget Blizzard of Oz is, again, not a skippable track on the record, another iconic album in heavy metal. I make no mistakes by saying that I am more of a fan of Ozzy's solo work than his Black Sabbath work, but that work is amazing as well. Hard to differentiate. And we're splitting hairs here. But so I don't really know which one of these I've listened to the most because I've pretty much burned them down thousands of times, each of them. So I'm including all three on my list, right? Again, my list, I'm kind of going to do what I feel like. And look, this is going to be the last video I do for quite a while. I'm in Metallica mode. They are playing New Jersey this weekend. And then just in a couple of days, I head up to Canada, to Montreal for my first ever Metallica show out of the United States of America. Very excited for that. It's going to be shows number 82 and 83 for me. So I'm really excited. So kind of want to do a little bit longer video, show you guys more stuff. So yeah, that's why I'm throwing in extra albums of some of these artists. So this next record, this is just for Mark at Twanger's Turntable. He showed a Cars record and a couple other stuff. I love the Cars, man. I got to give them some love. I've got pretty much their entire discography on vinyl, and this one is my favorite, Heartbeat City. Once again, I'm an MTV kid, so Drive, Magic, you might think I'm crazy. Those are the videos on MTV I remember. And this was the album that was like the big one for MTV that I recall. And I just thought they were cool. Like I was a metal fan, but I thought these guys were cool. And there's only two artists I really listen to that are not metal. And the Cars are one of them and Tom Petty's the other. And don't really listen to Tom Petty all that often, but I still knock out a couple Cars records per week, really. So I just love this one. It's my favorite one. So Mark, this is for you, buddy. Love the Cars, man. So back to the metal. So my second favorite band, Poison was my second favorite hair band. My favorite band growing up until I discovered Thrash was Motley Crue. And this was actually the first real metal band I discovered way back when Shout at the Devil came out. So I've got to put these guys on my list, obviously. I still play this thing weekly, as I do their debut, Too Fast for Love. I got to give the nod to Shout at the Devil, though. This was the first one I got. This was the first album that I heard that was heavy metal. If you want to hear my metal origin story, kind of scroll a couple of years back, obviously, maybe in the videos to find it. It's my Shout at the Devil metal origins story, where I was in Catholic school. I heard this album being played on some kid's boombox on the playground before school, and I thought it just blew me away. Like I wasn't listening to anything like this. I was listening to the crap my mom listened to, like the Monkees, the Bee Gees, Air Supply, Barbra Streisand, Fleetwood Mac, bands like that. And I heard Motley Crue's Shout at the Devil record on this kid's boombox. It blew me away. Instantly became a fan. Had to pick up the cassette tape. Didn't know this one existed at the time. Thought this was the only one and picked it up. And it had already blown up quite a bit. I remember getting it at the record store. There was like posters and tapestries. There was like nunchucks that said Motley Crue on them. And so the marketing campaign was in full swing when I picked up this record. But I absolutely love it. Listen to the shit out of it all the time as this one. But I'm going to give the nod to Shout at the Devil. These guys for a long time were my second favorite band after my discovery of Thrash. They're still in my top 5. I absolutely love Motley Crue. So now we're getting kind of to like the kind of in order here, and I'm going to move it around just a tad because it's not in order, to be honest with you. But we are going to go with another 80s hair band. I think this one came out in 89, Skid Row's debut. Absolutely love this record. When they came out, I was full on into Thrash at the time, and I was still listening to the hair bands on MTV. But these guys, man, like they really grabbed me with the 18 in Life and the Youth Gone Wild videos. And then Piece of Me video came out and just like kind of renewed my interest in like the hair stuff. And I was basically just listening to Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, and Metallica at the time. These videos came out on MTV, and I was like, man, these guys are awesome. They're hair metal, but they're a little bit more like street metal. I could kind of look at them, the way they were dressed, and be like, they kind of look like Megadeth, maybe. But I think it's an amazing record, easily one of the best debuts in heavy metal. And I had to include it on my list because it's so good. Slave to the Grind's awesome as well, but this one right here has got to be on my list as most played. So actually, I made a mistake. Now is when we're going to kind of get into my favorite ones kind of in order. So we're going to go with Anthrax. And much like Ozzy and Megadeath and Motley Crue, I really find it tough to differentiate. Now, my favorite Anthrax record is State of Euphoria. But when I was growing up, my brother lent me his Anthrax cassette tapes. And it was Spreading the Disease and Among the Living. And both of these albums were absolutely freaking amazing. I listened to both of them so much on cassette tape. At that time, I really can't tell which one I've listened to. I think I'm going to have to give the nod to Among the Living, although Spreading the Disease is my favorite among these two. Just two amazing records, just like pretty much all the records in this list, in my opinion. Not a skippable track on them, but so hard to kind of, just such a big fan, so hard to kind of say which one I've actually listened to, because I just listened to them, both of them, so much. And I could throw in State of Euphoria on that list as well. But these are the two the most, so definitely got to be in the video. And the next one, again, one of my all-time favorite bands. Yeah, I'm a big four guy. Like, I love all of the big four bands. And I got to throw Slayer in there. This is my all-time favorite Slayer album, South of Heaven. Got to give this one the nod. I've listened to all the other ones. I think they're amazing. Everybody loves Rain and Blood and Seasons and whatnot. But I actually think that South of Heaven is an excellent mix of both of the albums, where they, Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman were like, look, dude, my arm's going to freaking fall off, or I can't play 1 million miles an hour on another record again. So they said, all right, we're going to slow it down just a little bit, but keep some of the raw aggression and some of the thrash metal going. And that's kind of what they did on this record, in my opinion. Absolutely phenomenal album. It's my favorite one. Every time I saw Slayer, I've seen Slayer like shit ton of times before they retired. Every time they played something off this record, I just went batshit crazy. Fucking crowd. Like, I absolutely love this album. I love all the stuff they've done. But this one right here, without a doubt, my favorite one. So now we are getting down to the last two bands, and these are my two favorite bands of all time. And first one is Iron Maiden. Power Slave, easily my favorite Iron Maiden album. Not the first one I got, that was Peace of Mind, but this is the one I've listened to the most. But I gotta admit, if we're talking on Iron Maiden, what I've listened to the most, it really is this one. It's the Live After Death live album, and I know it's not a studio record, which is why I chose Power Slave, because it is my favorite Iron Maiden album, and probably the studio record I've listened to the most, probably next to maybe Number of the Beast and Killers. But this is the Iron Maiden album I've listened to in my lifetime the most. I mean, just freaking amazing. To me, it is the best, without a doubt. The Metallica Live Shit Binge and Purge is a very close second, as is Unleashed in the East by Judas Priest, Decade of Aggression by Slayer, and a handful of other amazing live records. But this is the best live album in heavy metal, right here, Live After Death. So I got to include it in the list. It's technically a studio album, but I had to include it. And the next band is Metallica. It's the album Ride the Lightning. I'm including it in this list because it's amazing, and it's probably the Metallica record I've listened to the second most. Creeping Death being tied for my favorite Metallica song of all time. The other song that it's tied with is Blackened, which is on this record, and Justice for All. And this is the first Metallica album that I really sunk my teeth into and went from a fan after hearing Garage Days to oh my God, my entire world has changed forever. I mean, look behind me. I've become a massive diehard Metallica fan. I'm a Metallica collector. I collect stuff from all my favorite bands, which is on the wall in front of me, which you cannot see. And then this wall to my left, which you cannot see. But everything behind me, this is my Metallica wall. I've been to 81 shows so far. These are the posters behind me. I've been to every single one of the shows and the poster behind me. I'm a crazy Metallica fan. And I get some people are going to just, fuck them, they suck now. Click off, turn the video off. You should know by now, people watching any of my videos, I'm a heavy metal fan. Just Metallica happens to be my favorite band. But I celebrate all of heavy metal. But this is the album I have listened to the most in my entire life. It is their best record and my favorite, and it ain't even close for debate. I love everything they've ever put out. Obviously, there's an order that I would have them in, and maybe that'll be another video for another day. But Justice for All takes the cake. I think it's amazing. Yes, I know there's no bass. No, I don't give a shit. When this thing came out in '88, I was too young to really give a shit then, and I don't give a shit now. I think it's an amazing record. It's freaking flawless. And yeah, my tied favorite song with Creeping Death is Blackened, and Jason pretty much wrote that song. The only writing credit the kid has on the album, and it's the best song on the freaking album. So yeah, if they turned his bass down on purpose, maybe, I don't know. Don't even care about the rumors or any of the stories. I don't care. It's an awesome record. Phenomenal album. Easily the album I've listened to the most in my life. And it's by like hundreds of times. It's absolutely amazing. I listen to this thing probably twice a week now. Used to listen to it more when I had a long drive to work. It's a phenomenal album. Can't get enough of it. One day, my hopes is that Metallica, I know they're getting older and it's never going to happen, but my dream would be like, hey, we're going to play Injustice for All in its entirety, just the entire album. And you can go home after that if you want to. That would be fine with me. So anyway, there you guys have it. It's been way more than 10 records. It's 20 plus minutes. Hopefully everybody stuck around and check it out. I'm a little bit long-winded, but look, it's my last video for a while, so I wanted to give you some good content. My channel is not just about my record collection. I'm a metal collector, Metallica collector, so I will be doing a video after I get back from Montreal, just kind of showing you guys all the merch I get. I plan on going to the pop-up store if possible, buying a ton of merch there, and posters, shirts, vinyl. There's special vinyl just available at the pop-ups. Obviously, picking up some merch at the stadiums during the shows as well. So maybe we'll do like a guitar pick, stuff like that. Maybe we'll do like a merch haul video when I get back. I don't know. But anyway, appreciate you guys checking out the channel as always. I'm very appreciative of all of you. And I appreciate the support. And I will have another video for you guys very soon. Cheers, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.